Hello fellow do-it-yourselfers. In today's video I am going to be building a 12-volt charging station. As most of us in our garage, where we work most of the time, we have an ample supply of 120 volt AC power. But a lot of times we need 12 volt DC power, whether it's to be charging certain components such as flashlights or to be powering certain components that require a 12 volt DC source. So I wanted to build something that would be able to do that. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a 12 volt DC marine battery, deep cycle, that will be hooked up to a control panel. And on this control panel I will have 12 volt receptacles to either power or charge devices. Now for the control panel I wanted something rigid, but I didn't want to spend too much money. So I looked what I had lying around. And what did I have? This metal box that you see in front of you. What is this metal box? Well, its original purpose in life was to house an emergency exit key. That would be next to an emergency exit, that you would have a piece of glass with a little metal hammer. You would shatter the glass to get the key. Well, I'm going to repurpose it. This will be my control panel for my 12 volt charging station. So I didn't want to use the glass for obvious reasons that came with it, so I needed to find a suitable replacement to put over the top to house the components, to secure the components too. So what I used is this 1/8 thick hard rigid cardboard that I cut to size, leaving a 1/4 inch overlap around the perimeter to give me an anchoring point to glue it and adhere it to the control box. On this panel I'll be installing two 12 volt receptacles on the bottom. I will be having a on-off toggle switch to kill the main power coming to the control panel, as well as I'm going to be having a voltage meter, a digital voltage meter that will give me the readout of the voltage and state of the battery. Now the 12 volt marine battery will be constantly hooked up to a trickle charge, a battery maintainer. It'll just be a standard 2 amp battery maintainer, so it'll be more than enough to keep the battery topped up, and if need be, if it gets really low for whatever reason, enough to bring it back up to full charge. So for now this is all I have. I'm ordered from eBay the voltmeter that I'm waiting on, as well as the toggle switch for the main power. I do have rocker switches, but I wanted to go with a toggle switch for this application, so I ordered that. As for the 12 volt receptacles, I have those already from a previous order, so I'll be ready to install those. So for now I'm just working on my layout of how I want to place everything, as well as seeing how it's all going to fit on here. So once I have all that, I'll continue the build, and the video will continue as well. Well, today I was able to make a little more headway on my control box. So what I ended up doing was taking that rigid cardboard, it's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and I drew out my template onto it. As you can see, I made a line for the contour, and this gap spacing here will be my point where I'll be able to put some adhesive, so basically the overhang, which will be gluing up from underneath the control panel and giving me a point for attachment. So the way I made the holes was I measured out the size of hole I needed, drew my circle, and I used a box knife, utility knife, to cut it out. It's maybe not the best way to do it, but for the moment it's the only tool I had on me at the present time. Yes, you could use a small hole saw, a spade bit on a drill, but considering the material I'm using, I'd be too fearful of a lot of tear out of the material when using that aggressive tool. So I find with the utility knife it did a nice clean job. To finish off the holes, to make them nice and clean, I used a Dremel with a flap wheel. I was able to get inside with an aggressive sandpaper and clean up inside and make it nice and perfect for the size I needed. So that's what we're looking at right now. So we're going to have the two holes. In reality, it should be like that, because that's where the receptacles are going to be, is on the bottom. Now initially with the control box I was thinking of going vertical with it. However, I am going to go on the horizontal axis this time, just to give me more spacing on the length of it. I just find it'll look neater. So the way it's going to look is I will adhere the panel up underneath. Not sure what I'm going to use yet, probably just an epoxy, some strong adhesive, construction adhesive, but we'll find out. And I want it to be rigid, secured enough in there that when I'm inserting and pulling out my 12-volt devices out of the receptacles, I don't actually pull this cardboard off with it. So the way it's going to look will be sitting inside there, like that. And then you'll have the 12-volt display, which will be up here somewhere. And then in the corner will be your main toggle. I might even put the main power toggle in between. I'm not sure yet. It all depends on spacing. And an indicator light up here to let you know when the unit is on and it has power. What we could do now is we could insert the receptacles into the piece I cut out. Now these are the receptacles I'm using, just a 12-volt weatherproofed receptacle that I got off eBay. Now I bent the terminals. They actually come straight when you get them. I bent them downwards due to lack of space in my control box. If I left them coming straight down, when the lid closed, it would bottom out, and I'd have no way of attaching my leads for ground and power. So by coming off to the side, I could come in with my connectors, and it will leave me enough clearance and not worry about shorting out. So the way these ones work, it's very simple. It's a threading that you would, in this case, in these holes, you would insert them in. They slide right in. You put them in the position you want. And then you have this locking ring that you screw on to the back that will hold it in place. Long threads. I don't know why, I guess they make it long this way, encasing on the thickness of where you're going to be putting it, which is nice. In my case, I didn't need that long, but it is what it is. So as you can see, I would have one here, like that. Put it nice and straight. And then the second one would be the same way of doing it. It'll come right into the hole, and it would be like that. So you would have your two 12-volt receptacles there on the bottom. And as I said, the volt display probably up here is centered into the panel. Main toggle and indicator light, which would be like that. I'll show you what it will look like once it's in the panel in its position. I think it's going to look pretty good. So you can see it like this. As you can see, it's going to look like that. I mean, it'll be more centered, depending. The way I'm looking through my camera to see where it's positioned, so it might look a little crooked on your end, but you get the idea. Now, I want you guys to be rest assured the cardboard will not be stained white. I mean, I find that not very nice looking. I have a lot of extra carbon fiber vinyl wrap at home, so I'm going to be wrapping that in carbon fiber to give it that nice look. And I think it'll be a nice contrast onto the red box. So we're going to leave it at that. I'm still waiting to get in some of the pieces from eBay. So I might be still, depending on eBay, it could be upwards 2 to 3 weeks. But as I make progress, I'll continue the video. Hey guys, just thought I'd give you a quick update. I finally received all the parts that were needed from eBay, so I was able to just quickly put everything together. As you can see, it's still missing the vinyl wrap I'm going to be doing with the carbon fiber. It was just a quick mock-up to see how everything fit, and everything came together very nicely. So we got the voltmeter, the main power cutoff with the 2 receptacles, all fit very nicely into that space. As you can see in the back, everything is going to be easily accessible to wire up. So tonight I'm going to be doing the carbon fiber wrap on the back plate and all the wiring that's going to be needed. Then I'll be ready to adhere into the control box into its final resting place. Here's a quick look of what it's going to look like once it's all finished and properly adhered in the box. So everything is going to be very easily accessible. The voltmeter will be easy enough to read, with the main cutoff power switch as well very accessible. So I'm liking the way it's coming together. I'm going to finish up the rest tonight, and we'll continue the video once I have everything put together. So I was finally able to finish up the control panel. As you can see, it's mounted in its location. Wires running down to one of my batteries to get its 12-volt source. On the inside, we could turn the key, the door opens, all the connections are made to the both receptacles, to the gauge, and to the master switch. So this will remain locked so the kids can't get inside and touch it, obviously. And you turn the power on. Volt gauge comes on, letting us know the voltage of the battery. Now I'll have to keep the batteries on a trickle charge, or every so often, maybe once every couple of weeks, charge them up. It's not that I'm going to be using this on a regular basis, so a full charge should last me quite a while. So that's pretty much it. So that's the final installation of the 12-volt charger control panel that I put together. Fun little project. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it useful. Thank you for watching.